Again. So today is Labor Day weekend, and time for picnics and time together celebrating with family and friends, but it has a long history. Back to the late 1800s, it was declared a holiday, and it started right after the Civil War, a time when mills and mines and railways were very dangerous places to work. People lost their lives. People worked 80 hours a week doing their jobs. Child labor was a real part of the labor force. So today we honor and celebrate those who came before us, who paid the dues to make life wonderful for us in our work worlds. Even though sometimes we may think otherwise, it's a lot better than it ever used to be. So I want to start today with a reading from Khalil Gibran. So settle back, relax, and let these words just float through you. You work that you might keep pace with the earth and the soul of the earth. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons, and to step out of life's procession that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite. When you work, you are a flute through whose heart the whispering of the hours turns to music. Which of you would be a reed, dumb and silent, when all else sings together in unison? Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor is a misfortune. But I say to you that when you work, you fulfill a part of earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when the dream was born. And in keeping yourself with labor, you are in truth loving life. And to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's innermost secret. But if you in your pain call birth and affliction and the support of flesh a curse written upon your brow, then I answer that naught but sweat of your brow shall wash away that which is written. You have been told also that life is darkness, and in your weariness you echo what has been said by the weary. And I say that life is indeed darkness, save when there is an urge. And all urge is blind, save when there is knowledge. And all knowledge is in vain, save when there is work. And all work is empty, save there is love. And when you work with love, you bind yourself to yourself and to one another and to God. And what is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your, even if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to change all things you fashion with the breath of your own spirit, and to know that all the blessed dead are standing about you and watching. Often I have heard you say, as if speaking in sleep, he who works in marble and finds the shape of his own soul in the stone is nobler than he who plows the soil. And he who seizes the rainbow to lay it on the cloth in the likeness of man is more than he who makes sandals for our feet. But I say, not in sleep, but in the over-wakefulness of noontide, that wind speaks not more sweetly than the giant oak, than to the least of the blades of grass. And he alone is great, who turns the voice of the wind into a song made sweeter by his own loving. Work is love made visible. And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take all the alms from those who work with joy. For if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds half man's hunger. And if you grudge the crushing of grapes, your grudge is distilled a poison in the wine. And if you sing, though as an angel, and love not the singing, you muffle man's ears to the voices of the days and the voices of the night. That, my friends, is work. Powerful words, and we could leave it at that, but we won't. Those words are an inspiration to me, and as are the words of Eric Butterworth. And he says, the work of our lives should be more than doing. The work of our lives should be being. We have a feeling of dissatisfaction with the work of our lives. It calls our attention to be introspective and to look not so much at what we are doing, but how we are doing our work. Well, we would all likely agree that it's important to have fulfilling work, that it's important to have the right work. What's more important is to do the work of our lives with the right mindset, with the right attitude. Eric Butterworth says the greatest need is not to find the right work, but to discover the right attitude. Not simply finding work to devote our lives to. Instead, it is experiencing our work as the overflow of our love of life. That's what our work is, the overflow of the love of life. Even if we find ourselves engaged in temporary work, even if we find ourselves engaged in work that carries us to something else or beyond that, it's how we do that work. Do we do that work with love in our heart, from the overflow of love and not the grudgingness? Do we wake up on our first day of work the week, which for many is Monday, but it could be any day? Do we wake up and say, oh, good God, morning? Or do we wake up knowing that we're going to engage the work of our life with good morning, God, and go forward from there? How do we do it? In his book, Life is for Loving, Eric Butterworth says, I am the work of God made visible through love. My work in this life is to allow love to express as me. Is that not your work as well? I see some head shaking. That is the work of our lives, to let love express through us, to let God express through us. Whatever name you call that essence and energy that moves in the universe and abides in everything, whatever you call that energy and essence that breathes us into life, that which is greater than us as our individual personalities or even us as a spiritual community, that is the love in our lives. And that is what we are here to express. We work because love is the continuation of God through us. And we often think of taking a job and going to work from the mindset of, what are we going to receive in exchange for our work? We might look and expect a paycheck. Have you ever done that? Expected a paycheck at the end? Yes. Or we might expect vacation time, health insurance, or paid family leave, all of those wonderful things. And when we view for our work from the consciousness of spirit, from our higher self, we move into the mindset of giving. So what are we giving? What happens when we view our work from that receiving mode is we contract. We contract into the ways and means of the world. And then we begin to expect the world, our job, our work, to fulfill us. And it can't. But when we approach the work of our lives from giving, we are expanded. We are allowing God to be God in us, as us and through us. As we go back to the words of Eric Butterworth, the work of our lives is not a doing. The work of our lives is being God. When we look at the work of our lives as God being, we expand. We see everything differently because we're then seeing through the eyes of love, that power of love that sees good, that knows how to use the good. The words come to mind that we are then joyful. Are you joyful when you go to work? Whatever you do, are you joyful? I know you are, Deb. I've heard you say that. We see that our joy, our abundance, our identity doesn't come from what we do. Our identity comes from the beingness that we are, that we are made in the image and likeness of the divine. And we are then able to focus on this question: what do I bring to this day? Imagine if you walked through the doors of your office, your workplace, whatever it is you do, with the idea, what do I bring to this day? Wow, what might change? And with this question, the actions that we take afterward ignite and engage that spiritual law of circulation, which is a real thing in action. For life is an inflow and an outflow. Abundance, grace, and connection come to us, and we can put all of that back out to the universe. And then we are living in the flow of life, that eternal flow of which there is no end, of which there is no lack or limitation. When we live in that flow of life. When we've been there, right? We know what that feels like. We can do that no matter what the job is. And Eric Butterworth reminds us that, the idea of a Stradivarius violin couldn't happen without Antonio Stradivari. The idea of an automobile couldn't happen without Carl Benz. We are how the divine comes into manifestation as us, through us, and in us. You and me is how God comes into being, how God is recognized through our human form. Of course, these divine ideas may have come into existence at another time through another person. I picture a divine idea floating until someone notices it and grabs it and makes it happen. But we get to be the eyes, the ears, the hands, and the feet, and the heart of God. We get to be that. So we're going to have a moment to share. So now's a good time to pay attention. There's 2 questions. First question is, if you get up in the morning and go somewhere to an office, or if you work at home, what is it that you do? If you get paid for that, or you don't get paid for that, if you volunteer, what is it that you do to put out into the world? And then from your spiritual awareness and your spiritual consciousness, what does that work of your life, the work of your days, return to you? And while you think of that, it's not about money, it's not about fame or recognition. What in your heart do you receive from the work of your life? And while you think about that for a moment or two, I'm going to share a story with you. We've all been to Walmart. You're familiar with Walmart? Yes? And we walk into Walmart and there's a greeter, right? Who's someone who says, "Welcome to Walmart." About a year or so ago, I walked into my local Walmart and I was wearing a mala that had been gifted to me. And in that mala were beads that looked like they represent the chakras. And the greeter said, "Well, welcome to Walmart. I really love your chakra beads. I'm studying the chakras with someone right now, and I'm learning about the energy that we have." And he and I stood there, and we had this lovely conversation about how we all carry energy, and that's what we put into the world, into the universe. And that space between us is energy vibrating between us. It's all energy. And we had this lovely conversation, and then we went on our way. Who would think that an experience with the greeter at Walmart could be so meaningful that a year or so later I still recall it as a meaningful encounter with another human on this planet? So if you ever think that a job is small or insignificant or unimportant or big and important and great, know that whatever it is you do, you are impacting somebody's life some way, somehow. That we acknowledge in those moments, that greeter at Walmart, we acknowledged each other. How validating is that, to be acknowledged as a human and the energy that flows? It was a lovely moment. So now is your turn, and I have a microphone so that the folks at home can hear too. And Steve, you have the microphone. Okay, so 2 questions. What is the work of your life? What do you do each day? And 2 words that describe what you receive from Spirit in return for that. Who would like to share first?
I observe. Is it on? I can yell.
No.
I observe beauty.
That's the work of your life? Tell me something else. I know that you're also an artist. So when you put your art out into the world, what are 2 things that you receive back when you know that you're putting your art out into the world?
Pure amazement that I can do it. Joy.
Joy and amazement. Yes. Awesome. Yes.
Let her speak into the mic.
And who else? Well, if it were... Steve, is it possible to have another mic, because this is...
Yeah, it's on. Just have to speak into it. Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a health advocate, and every day I get up thinking about how I can show others how to best take care of their health in a holistic way, body, mind, and spirit. That's what I do. I mean, that's not what I do for a living now, but that's what gives me deep passion. And when I do that, I have a sense of joy and fulfillment.
Oh, you hear that? The work of her life, joy and fulfillment. Who else?
Okay, I say my affirmations when I get up because I know my mind has been contaminated while I sleep. So speaking of Eric Butterworth, I used to see him in New York, and he come on the radio every morning, and I just run and almost hurt myself to go get it in tune with the radio.
And what did you receive when you heard Eric Butterworth's words?
Oh, I just get ready for my day.
Ah, beautiful. Inspiration, huh? Who else would like to share the work of your life?
Good morning, everyone. The work of my life, I'm a soldier, and I feel that my life's work has been holding the peace. And when there is war, my job is to return the peace. And that's what gets me going in the morning.
Thank you, first of all, for being courageous and willing to serve, and for being a holder of peace. And for receiving peace in return. Who else would like to share what it is that you do?
In the many incarnations of my work life, the one constant is that it is a work of service of some sort. And what I get back is joy.
Joy. Imagine when you go to work that you're going to receive joy. Not everybody is aware of that. But that's the work, that's the benefits of the work of our life. I don't want to shortchange anybody. Anybody else want to share?
I do two things, and one of them is called user experience research, which means all that technology you use. I'm here to be your advocate. It's not you who can't figure it out. It's them who built it wrong.
My new best friend. How did you know? You saw me with the microphone.
Yeah, so what I get back from it when the designer's done a good job and 16 people want to change it, but the research says it was fun like it was, the joy is, I have to say, there's a little joy in there about winning. But at the end of the day, I'm here to help people get what they really need.
Ooh, yeah. And so what do you feel when you did?
And I get joy out of that.
Joy. So it's okay for me to have an iPhone 2? Yeah. Just kidding, just kidding. But that's, did you notice what the return for the work of our life is? Did you notice how much joy, satisfaction, the work of our life? Thank you for sharing and for being willing to move into that place of spirit to recognize there's nothing mundane about the work that we do. So when we return from our forgetfulness to remembering that we are made in the image of God, that we are made in love, from love, we are made to love. We are made to be love in the world. Then the work of our life moves from something that we do to who we are, how we are. And God is being God in us and through us and as us, so that we are the hands and the feet and the heart of God. So tomorrow is a day off for most people, not retail people, but so tomorrow practice getting into that mindset of going to the work of your life from a mindset of giving. And we always remember the words of 1 Corinthians 16:14. Speak it together. Let all you do be done in love. Namaste and thank you.